Record home prices while we have a war in Iran and interest rate rises expected in the next 6 months. The property market continues to defy logic with prices rising. But is it really logical that prices will continue to rise when we're potentially heading into a recession in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months? I want to bring you a level-headed approach about why we should extend our time horizons, worry less about the news, even though I'm talking about it here on the YouTube channel. Let's worry less about the news and more about outcomes for yourself and your family, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. So first off, I want to look at this article, 908K and climbing, record home prices defy war and rate pain. So home prices have hit new record highs across the country, defying the cost of living pressures, higher interest rates, and escalating tensions in the Middle East. The PropTrack data released today reveals the nation's median home value rose another 1/3% to $908,000 per home last month, but a broad-based slowdown is emerging across the country. The report found home prices are now 9.4% or $94,800 higher than where they were a year ago. Now, the interesting thing here is this data clearly hasn't factored in the current sentiment on the ground and the current change potential in market prices. Now, we would expect the growth over the last year to not necessarily play out over the next year, but there's always deals to be had. Now, one of the interesting things in my view as a buyer's agent is we're seeing opportunity. We're seeing granny flat, strata title, good quality bread and butter deals out there, but they need to be paired to the right buyer. And so you need to take a look internally at your own finances, your own borrowing capacity, and your own circumstances about how you can make a property investment decision. And that's what it should be. You shouldn't be worried about this news, the market prices, the climbing, declines, growth rates. You should be more worried about how you can move the needle on your own journey rather than what's happening in the market sentiment as a whole. Of course, we want to keep up to date with the news and how things are playing out, but I think more importantly, we should make investing decisions not based on what's happening in interest rates in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months, where that 5 to 7 year time horizon is far more important in my opinion. And if you want to fast track that journey, I prefer to look at value add opportunities of cosmetic renovations, strata titles and granny flats for the cash flow, strata titles and subdivisions for the capital value, rather than trying to chase short-term markets. So among the capital cities, Brisbane recorded the biggest monthly rise of 0.7%, followed by Perth at 0.5%, while the other capitals recorded softer growth. Both Sydney and Melbourne recorded a modest 0.2% increase. Annually, Perth continued to lead the gains, recording a 21% increase in its median home price to just over $1 million for the first time ever. The interesting thing here is these cities like Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide even, they have chronic undersupply. If you look at these housing markets from the standalone houses in the locations people want to be, use Brisbane as an example. Greenslopes, Coorparoo, Mount Gravatt. On the north side, you've got areas like Stafford, Chermside, Boondall, Nudgee, Wavell Heights. The list goes on. There's just so many suburbs in that inner ring. Of these suburbs, they are landlocked, there's no more houses being built, and there's more people who want to pay more to get into these areas for their own home. The property market is 70% plus owner-occupied driven, and so the dollars are going to go where people want to put their money. And so they're going to want to put their money into their own home, add value to their own home, and buy the locations they want to be in. The other cycle that we're seeing is the affordability run. So houses that are sub $850,000 in Ipswich, in Logan, in Moreton Bay, are particularly sought after by not only investors, but first-home buyers and owner-occupiers who want affordable places to buy and live. These two markets are the really sought-after locations in the middle and inner rings, and the outer areas which have the affordability and the land size and upside potential, I think are still the greatest opportunities here in Southeast Queensland. The same, in my opinion, applies to Melbourne, but more so in the Melbourne market, I would be looking at the sub-$1 million price range, particularly in the Geelong region, North Melbourne, West Melbourne, sub 850K. So that's where I really see the value at this point in time. Let's take a little bit more of a look at the data from PropTrack here as well. So the PropTrack Home Price Index in March 2026. So this is the latest data available from PropTrack, and it shows the monthly growth, the annual growth, the annualized growth in dollar figures, and then the median value by house. So we've got Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth here. You can see Brisbane leading the charge, and that would be across all types of housing, and we know that units have also performed very strongly in the last quarter as well, with annualized growth at 17.7%, up $172,200, $172,200 in the last year alone, bringing the median house price to that $1 million mark. If we take a look at Perth, up 20.9%, so a front runner there, and now similar to Brisbane, $1 million price point for a standard median value of a home. Now, the question always is are these growth rates sustainable? I don't think you can have 17% growth be sustainable. We expect it to average more like this, 6 to 8%. So you can see the capital cities as a whole are 8%, but we've got Sydney and Melbourne lagging at 3% and 5%. Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth smashing it between 14 to 20%. Then Hobart, Darwin and ACT, again, variable there. Darwin being an outlier, but I wouldn't be buying in Darwin for my own money. At 17%, I'd be buying in other regionals, in other locations, and diversifying for more cash flow. That's my opinion. But a lot of investors like to chase short-term gains, and that's what I think Darwin more is, a 2-year play or a 3-year play at most. So it depends on what you're doing in your portfolio. Lots of strategies work. That's the funny thing about property investing. Not my own strategies work for everyone. You can apply lots of other buyers agents and their strategies, and they'll also work. It's about you customizing your approach to your circumstances to get you where you want to go. Now, I think the interesting thing here is if you look at Hobart, that largely travels behind Sydney. And so I think Sydney, Melbourne and Hobart will be the 3 markets in the next decade. So, towards the end of this decade, I think Sydney, Adelaide and Perth will slow down. And the next decade, so starting around 2028, 2030, we will really see 2030 onwards, Sydney, Melbourne and Hobart really start to run back in terms of growth rates, in my opinion. When it comes to the regionals, I invest less in the regionals personally. I've got a unit block in Coffs Harbour, so that's in rest of New South Wales. And you can see those growth rates run more steady as she goes. 6, 8% is what I'd expect. Lower growth rates, absolutely, than your major cities. And I bought the unit block in Coffs Harbour as a cash cow, as a unit block based on underlying fundamentals of value of the building itself, and then being in a landlocked location in Coffs Harbour as a town of about 100,000 people. So you can see that the median house is running $780K in the rest of New South Wales, and then much cheaper in Victoria and South Australia if you're in those more regional locations. So market sentiment has changed just in a 12-week window. We're now into April, which is crazy to say, and Easter is upon us. And so market sentiment has changed significantly. We can see from the data and from what the realestate.com and these economists and news articles are saying is that things are changing, the market's moving. And I always think whether it's greed driving the market, if it's greed driving decision-making or fear driving decision-making, in both circumstances, whether we're expanding or contracting, there is always opportunity. It's just about making concise decisions, riding out these waves. And yes, you might need to make some tough decisions. Yes, you might need to pull back on your family spending. Yes, you might need to be more calculated with your numbers. But it doesn't mean you can't ride these waves out and buy the right opportunities to create growth in your portfolio and eventually create more choices in your day-to-day lifestyle. So the article goes on to say another interest rate rise, if delivered in May, which I think it will happen, and potentially another 1 or 2, I'd say 2 in the second half of the year, will put further pressure on borrowing capacity and buyer sentiment and demand. That will increase the likelihood of declining price rises. So that makes sense. But there are factors that could mitigate falls, such as the flow of new listings hitting the market. Well, you'd expect those to dry up if things are slowing down. When prices were falling and rates were rising, a lot of sellers held back from listing, which makes sense, and the tight supply environment was created, and that was one of the factors that cushioned price falls. Well, that's market supply and demand. I'm selling a property at the moment, and it's, again, there's a price that you're willing to sell at and a price you're not willing to sell at. We are unlikely to see widespread forced selling, which I think is the important thing there, the word forced. If prices do fall, it's likely to be a moderate downturn. It makes sense. And that's what the government will want anyway. We see strong optimism in some states, yes, certainly, but there are supply constraints and affordability pressures in others, which will only be exacerbated by skyrocketing oil prices. Ongoing global uncertainty, conflict in the Middle East, and inflation will likely add to borrower caution. So super interesting. And I think that's the truth. So if we see fuel prices up means cost of trades goes up, cost of deliveries goes up, cost of materials goes up, cost of builders go up. The cost price to bring a property to market, a new build will raise. And I got asked this question in the comments on a YouTube video the other day. Do I think we're going to see a big crash? I think we may see a mild downturn. We may see prices fall even in some locations, but we're going to see prices rise in other areas. This is where we're not moving into Australia-wide boom anymore. We're moving into markets within markets. You've got to buy the right suburb, the right street, the right location, and the right price point to get that upside. In another video that I'm going to release to you guys soon, I'm going to talk through how I bought the worst house in Geelong, myself, with my own money. Sub $500,000 for a freestanding house, which is barely standing if you want to describe it that way. And I'm spending a major amount of money, 6 figures on the renovations, and it's worth it for me because it's about value. Once you look at the all-in cost, sub $600,000 for a fully finished product, that's where value lies. And so you can still pick the eyes out of the market, pick the right suburbs, pick the locations. And that's the fact for you as a homeowner and an investor. There's only thousands of millionaires out there in Australia. There's not hundreds of thousands of millionaires here in Australia. I believe the last data I saw was around 42,000 millionaires. But there's not that many millionaires out there that are going to be able to have the free range of buying multiple properties at a time. If you're the everyday Australian who can buy your own home and maybe a couple of investment properties over time, over a decade, then you want to make sure you make the right investing decisions for you and your family because it's a massive decision. It's a massive deal. Even if it's a $600,000 house, an $800,000 property, or $1 million+ property, they're all big financial decisions. So with the uncertainty, you need to have control of your own circumstances and use the underlying fundamentals to make your next property purchase. If you do want help buying in Southeast Queensland or in Melbourne, head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free chat with myself. We'll talk about your specific circumstances and how we can help you buy a property in the next 3 to 6 months. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen this year? Are we expecting 3 rate rises? That's what I'm seeing in terms of the futures markets and the sentiment out there. And what do you think in terms of property growth? Is it going to slow? Are we going to see declines? Where do you think that's going to happen? Leave a comment down below. I just want to add this to the end of this video because it's going to be coming out on Easter. And so happy Easter. I'm a Christian and I follow Jesus. And so I love celebrating Easter. And so you're probably on holidays or having a break with your family and you may be watching YouTube content, but I just wanted to say happy Easter. Thanks for following my channel. It's been awesome. The start to this year in 2026, having so many people follow along, comment, like videos, all those things. And I just wish you and your family the best over this Easter break. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.